If you remember Fenton, comment Fenton in the chat. This is Fenton. You remember? He's not really allowed in this room often. Can you stand on this? Looks like he can. We're spinning. He's not going to spin. Not a spinning sausage. Yeah, Fenton.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Are we getting spoiled by some of this digital gear, and is it sort of ruining, no, ruining is not the word, but is it sort of closing our minds off to some of this other stuff? So I recently bought this Royer mic and spent, you know, a fair amount of time sort of battling some feelings around, like, well, it doesn't sound immediately like record ready and that sort of thing, and then why am I spending this sort of money if I've then got to go into the DAW and do some EQing and stuff to take it back to a level that I feel like is going to work in a mix. And I don't know if Jake tells me that there were some very positive comments around the Royer, and of course this is a legendary thing. This is kind of what I'm thinking. I think a bunch of people out there that have this gear and that are just going like, we're missing out on some of this stuff. It's kind of what I wanted to do a little video talking about. What made me think of this was that I was, you know, spending a lot of time with this, and I've spoke to a bunch of people, you know, like going back and forth and kind of saying, like, is this right? You know, is this what this mic should sound like? I was kind of wondering at one point or another, is it broken? Because it's got so much low end. You know, I compared it to the SM57. The SM57 to my ears was like, had way more clarity and just sounded like it belonged like in a mix, sort of. It wasn't sort of boomy in the low end and that sort of thing. I then moved the R121 back further and had some better results, and then kind of talking to some people that use R121s and stuff in studios or whatever, almost all of them are using a low cut on them, so I thought, okay, well that's okay. And then my buddy Jake puts like a 10k boost. He's got an R122, which I think is a little bit brighter than the R121. But all of these things that maybe if we're used to modelling, like I've never really had to worry about too much of this stuff. It's only somewhat recently that I've gone back to trying to, in some cases, get like good recorded amp tones at home, and you realise like how much of an art that is and how much you don't know about it, or myself personally, you know. And you think like in the real world before some of this digital stuff, you know, you're gonna have to know how a preamp works, you're gonna have to know how, you know, a mic works. You know, you're making your mic choices, you're making choices around what speaker to use, or I guess in some cases you might just be experimenting and trying and seeing what comes out of it. And I guess each sound is the sound in and of itself, right? Yeah, I was reminded of this because I've just then sort of got my FM3 out to do my weekly video for G66, and I was just instantly like, well, that kind of sounds like what I want it to sound like out of the box, ready. All I've had to do is plug my guitar in, pull up a few things, and it's kind of like instantly where I want it, which is not at all like the workflow if I'm going to be using a real amp with a real mic. I'll just show you this. Just so convenient, some of this stuff, that I do then think, well, are we in some ways missing out because it's so much easier, so much quicker sometimes to just plug into a modeler? And maybe that's a really good thing if you just want to get some playing done. You've got a short amount of time. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like, all right, I've got a few minutes today, I've got 10 minutes to play. Would it be better off, you know, trying to dial in an amp to sound good, or pull up a preset that you know works well for you? Like for me, most of the time it's like that Eric Lead preset from my HX Stomp or Helix Native even, or you know, you pull up a Tonex model, or you pull up a Kemper profile. And some of these guys, you know, like Tone Junkie or Worship Tutorials or Embrit, have got like some pro gear, and you know, they've got studios so they can go through the time and effort to put together these presets so that maybe you don't have to. Is that a really good thing in some ways? But on the other hand, I feel like in some ways it's like, well, we're missing out on some of what you could be getting out of, like, even something cheap like an SM57 at home. Like, there is, I think, real good things to be had out of that, and I'm just realising that now with just like the SM57, but it's not as convenient, and I do then sort of worry, like, am I just being a bit lazy with some of this sometimes, where I could be exploring some of these great amp tones and great mic combinations. At the same time, I feel like someone needs to explore the modelling stuff as well, so maybe I can do both. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in another video soon. There's FM3 presets on Gumroad if you want to check them out, or there's Helix Native ones as well. Yes.